and I am firmly of the view that the way Islam is practiced in 2024 in the United Kingdom, it is not compatible with our liberal democracy. Moreover, and this is the main part of what I wish to focus on, the way our liberal democracy has evolved has made the United Kingdom particularly vulnerable to strident, unremitting, proselytizing, muscular ideologies. Thank you very much, President, members of the Oxford Union Committee, for inviting me tonight. I have to say that even though it's been an ambition of mine to speak here, the topic that was offered up is one that is particularly sensitive. And I thought long and hard about whether or not I should take this mandate. But of course, this is a bastion of free speech. And so I will speak without fear and without favor on this debate. And the first thing I'd like to say, if I may, is that the motion isn't quite right. And I say the motion isn't quite right because I'm not interested in a debate about Islam's compatibility with democracy in theory, or whether it's been compatible with democracy in the past, or whether through some kind of genesis it may be compatible in the future. What I'm concerned about is whether Islam is compatible, and Zudi mentioned it in his speech, with the liberal democracy that we practice in the United Kingdom. For it is the United Kingdom that gave rise to this institution and the ability for us to have this debate, as I say, which I will have without fear or favor.
Isn't it very imperialist to assume and impose only one version of democracy, which is the British parliamentary democracy, the Western conception of the world, and assume that just because Muslim majority countries do not adhere to the same rules and laws means that they must be incompatible with democracy?
I'm not, no. You're misinterpreting what I was saying. I'm not interested in whether Islam is capable of being compatible with democracy. I'm only interested in whether Islam is compatible with our democracy in the United Kingdom, because I live in the United Kingdom and I'm a British citizen. And so for me, this isn't a theoretical debate. For me, this is a practical debate. Where is Islam at the moment? And where is our liberal democracy in the United Kingdom? So let me start with two anecdotes. 2 years ago, the Dean of Trinity College defended a junior fellow at Evensong when he described Jesus as being transgender and the wound on Jesus' chest that he received from a Roman spear as resembling a vagina. That dean still has his job. He attracted a bit of public opprobrium at the time, but it blew over within 48 hours, and he still has his job at Trinity College, Cambridge. Compare that to the fate of the grammar school teacher in Batley who circulated some caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad, was threatened with his life after circulating those pictures, was removed from his post immediately by his school, and still lives in hiding. That is in modern United Kingdom. Now, it might be that Islam can find its way to being compatible with democracy, but I can find no sense of the freedom of speech evident in the way that that grammar school teacher was treated. The freedom of speech, which is the cornerstone of the house in which I am now speaking, and the cornerstone of British democracy. It is entirely incompatible with democracy that that grammar school teacher should still be hiding, fearing for his life in the United Kingdom in 2024. So let me just talk a little bit about Islam. The Quran is the word of God. It is the word of God written down by the Prophet Muhammad as communicated to him by the angel Gabriel. It is the word of God. It cannot be improved. It is perfect. And because it is perfect, it has no truck with criticism. Compare that to the, frankly, absurd description offered up by the Dean of Trinity College 2 years ago. Can you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, for a second, the treatment that Dean would have received if he had described the Prophet Muhammad in those terms? Denied. So I am here to talk about liberal democracy and its compatibility with Islam. And I am firmly of the view that the way Islam is practiced in 2024 in the United Kingdom, it is not compatible with our liberal democracy. Moreover, and this is the main part of what I wish to focus on, the way our liberal democracy has evolved has made the United Kingdom particularly vulnerable to strident, unremitting, proselytizing, muscular ideologies. And the reason I say that is that even though it was our liberalism that allowed us to think beyond the zenith of our power and abolish slavery, even though it was our liberalism that moved us to abolish the ownership of slaves and then the policing of slavery on the high seas at vast human cost and money for this country. It was our liberalism that gave women the vote. It was our liberalism that promoted women and gave them equal standing in British society. It was our liberalism on which our democracy was founded. Our liberalism at the moment is going wrong. It has gone, no, I'm in mid-flow. It has gone too far, our liberalism. And I was interested to hear the debate between the current president of the union and various interlocutors before this debate started. A lot of it turned on what I would regard as diversity, equity, and inclusion. There was a lot of talk about racism. There was talk about a woman being photographed, and she was particularly offended because she was Muslim. Why did that play any part in the description of her offense? Sure, she could be rightly offended for being photographed without her permission.
Was offended by certain comments made.
I'm sure the speaker will not have that topic.
Well, I'm sorry if I've offended anyone. I'll cease discussing that topic. Diversity, equality, and inclusion is the mistake our liberalism is making in order to promote minorities in the United Kingdom. We are now a multicultural society, and in order to give comfort to those new cultures that have entered the United Kingdom, our liberalism now progressively discriminates in their favor. Democracy, which is for the majority, has taken a backseat to liberalism, which is for the individual. And what we've got in the United Kingdom, and make no mistake about it, is not an integrated, settled society. Through diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the promotion of minorities over and above, and if necessary, and often to the detriment of the majority, we have created cultural silos. And I'm not just talking about Muslims, I'm talking about Hindus, I'm talking about different forms of Muslims, and gender ideology, I don't really know how to describe them. All sorts of minorities are now being promoted, celebrated, and practiced in cultural silos. And Islam is the strongest one of those silos. And Islam is a strident, muscular ideology. Unless Islam is able to liberalize itself, and it is able to see itself as being no more than equal to all other ideologies and all other religions in this country, it is not compatible with British liberal democracy. Thank you very much, everyone.